today I'll be showing you how to create a cliff in Cinema 4D. So as you can see in this project, I've created a cliff with some randomly generated rocks and some mountains in the background. Let's get started. Create a new project in Cinema 4D, and we're going to create our cliff using our splines over here. So I'm going to use a Bezier spline, and then I'm going to hop in my top view part over here. I'm going to zoom out just a bit, and then I'm going to draw a spline of the bottom part of our cliff. So the bottom part will be a separate spline, and then the top part of our cliff will be a separate spline, and then we will be connecting those two splines together to get our cliff. So if you don't understand this quite yet, just follow along, and then afterwards you can just start your own thing. So this will be all clear in just a few seconds. So let's create our bottom part. There we go. Just something like this. Click around several times. I'm going to do this real quickly. It doesn't really have to be perfect for me because I'm just making a tutorial for you guys. I'm going to connect this over here. Once you've created your spline, click over here and create a new spline. Maybe you want to create your top spline a little bit bigger than the previous one, so just create some variation in there. Maybe yeah, just change the angles a bit. It's all up to you. Yeah, so you can see what you can come up with. And there we go. Okay, so I have two splines, and now I want to hop back into the perspective view, go to our objects. I'm not sure how this is called. Use model mode. Okay, go to model mode and take your last spline, so the top part of your spline. You can rename this to top and rename this one to bottom. There we go. Click on the top spline, and then just pull this up right over here. So to change through these steps over here, for the position, press E on the keyboard, rotation R and T for the scale. If you didn't know this already, it's a helpful trick instead of always clicking over here. Same as over here, I'm just using my third mouse to hop in these things over here. So the quicker you can work, the better the results you will get in fewer times. So okay, now we want to connect these two splines together to get our cliff. So how are we going to do that? We're going to the Hyper NURBS over here, and we're going to select a soft NURBS. Now we're going to take our two splines and drop them into our soft one NURBS. Now at the soft NURBS, we want to go to caps and no caps. Okay, so now the top part of our cliff is gone, and we will fix this in a few seconds. Maybe we want to also add some more division over here, so just increase the divisions, just like this. There we go, looking pretty fine like that. And maybe, just maybe, let me, okay, subdivide per segment. Doesn't really change much. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to keep this as this right now. It will do just fine, I guess. Okay, so sorry for that. Now we are going to right click, no, we are going to click on the soft NURBS, go over here and click on this icon, and if you want to work faster again, just press C on the keyboard. That is a shortcut for this, making your object editable. So now you will be able to edit it, but as you can see, it still has some cap in there, so we right click this, select children, right click and connect object plus delete. That will make one object, and we want to rename it to cliff. Okay, so now hop back into our right perspective and take the point mode over here and select our rectangle selection, and over here you can see only select visible elements. Check this off, and then just select the top part polygons, top part points over here. Hop back to the perspective view, right click, and over here you can see connect point / edges. No, close polygon hole. I'm sorry. Okay, close polygon hole. And then if you drag over this cliff, as you can see, now we can just click, and then we have our plain ground over here. So now we want to just connect some points to create some variation in our ground, because afterwards we're going to randomize each point to get a realistic looking cliff. So yeah, we're going to right click and choose our knife tool over here, and then we're going to connect each point to a logical point on the other side. So it's all up to you how you're going to do that, but just make sure it's as straight as possible as you can get. So something like this is pretty fine, will do just fine. Okay, so just connect this. This is going to take a little while, but be patient and then you will have a better result. So okay, hold Alt and third mouse to drag through your project, by the way. Okay, make sure you don't select a point like this, because this will mess up your model, by the way. So make sure you have each point correct like this, like I'm doing right over here. Just dragging to the other point and dragging to the other point and keep doing this. Okay, so once you've done this side, you want to make some of these. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then we're done, I guess. Maybe I'm gonna close this one too. Okay, so if you're not understanding this quite yet, it's pretty easy. Just each point, as you hit Ctrl A on the keyboard, you will see each point. Each point will be randomly changed from position, and then it will look like there are some curves and some crumbles in our mountain. So to do that is by holding Ctrl A to select each point. If you're in point mode, right clicking then and go to set point value. Then at all we want to change this to crumble actual, and for the X I will change it to 15 or maybe 10. No, I'm gonna change it to 15. For the Y just 10, and for the Z 15. And if you hit enter, it will randomly emit everything and you will have a cliff. So if we render this, you can see it looks awful, really awful. So that's because of the func tag over here. It's doing too much effort, so we want to angle limit it to, let's say, 20. Okay, maybe a little bit more than that, 40. Okay, 30 then. There we go. And as you can see, it's still looking pretty awful, but that's because we didn't add some lights. But I'm just going to add a preset physical sky. So click on physical sky, and I'm going to use basic low sky preset and just something simple. So maybe this one. And there we go. So as I'm going to look at my cliff right now, okay, it's not a good preset. I don't. I'm going to pick this one then. Why are they turning out so blue? Oh yeah, I know why. Right click, no, create a new material, rename it to mountain of cliff material, okay. And now what you have to do is go onto Google and find some nice textures that fit a mountain. So as you have found that one, probably it won't be seamless, and we want to make it seamless. So we're going to do that into Photoshop. So open up Photoshop. I have something here for the ground afterwards, and I want to make it seamless. So how are we going to do that? Go to image size, and right over here you can see 4000. I'm going to change it to make it easier. Width is 4000 and height is 3000. Hit OK. Okay, now what we're going to do is go to filter, go to other and offset, and now we are going to offset the horizontal from the 4000 divided by 2, so that means 2000, and then the vertical was 3000, and we want to make it divided by 2, so 1500. Okay, so hit OK, and as you can see we have some lines that divide our material, and that's not looking too good over here, so we want to change that. We are going to change that by, first you want to double click on your layer to make sure that it's not locked anymore, and then we're going to the healing tool over here, and we're going to use spot healing brush, and then I'm going to right click, change my size to whatever you want, and make sure the hardness is not too high and spacing as low as possible. 13 will do just fine, and then just drag over that line and then you will have to wait a little bit because it's taking a lot of time for the computer to content or fill it. I'm just doing this for an example because my other texture that I'm going to use for my mountain is already seamless, because I've done that before. Of course, if you want to go really fancy, you can take multiple textures and compare them and just mix them together, like a little bit of green and stuff like that, and then just layering them up and deleting some parts and adding some parts and get creative with it, and then add that onto your mountain, and it'll look a lot better than it will do on my project right now. But it's all up to you to get creative and get something nice. Also, if you have a nice result of this tutorial, be sure to share it with me on my Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Tolerated Cinematics, so I can see what you've come up with. If you want to make a video, you can also make a video response. So I'm going to do this for this line as well, and there we go. Okay. And once you've done that, you want to save that material as a JPEG format, and then we can import it in Cinema 4D. Okay, it's done. Save as, I'm going to save it as a JPEG, and I'm going to save it just in this folder as a dry grass ground texture. Okay, and save it. Maximum quality. Okay, go into Cinema 4D. Open up your material for your cliff, and then I'm going to deselect the specular, go to color and texture. I'm going to load an image, and I'm going to load a mountain texture. So I'm going to open up this texture. I'm not going to save it in my folder. I'm going to copy this channel, and you want to paste this channel into your bump channel. So select bump, go to texture and paste channel. Now click on the arrow over here and add a filter. Click on the filter and desaturate it completely. Go back into your bump and maybe strengthen it by 30%. Go back in your filter because you want to make it a little bit more contrasty, because everything that's white is going to bump up and everything that's black is going to bump down, and it's just to give you a nice effect of really the texture of a mountain. Because if you don't do that, I will show you two examples of the with and without later on. I'm going to close this material. It's really an easy material. Again, it's all up to you to get fancy. Drop this onto the cliff. Click on the material and projection to cubic. Maybe lengthen this just a bit, like 150 to make it a little bit bigger. And there we go. And let's see what we have. Hopefully it's not looking too awful for this tutorial. And yeah, it's reflecting a little bit of blue. I'm going to add a new light just for this small problem, just to fix it quickly. Area shadows, okay, and make it a little bit orange because of the sun you want to replicate. And then I'm going to position it right over here. There we go, looking pretty good. I'm not gonna make it as strong. 60, okay, and there we go. So this is our cliff. Maybe because of the hard corners you wanna add a little bit more fong, or maybe delete the angle limits. Let's see what we do here. Just mess around a lot. That's Cinema 4D. Just messing around and keep messing around and wait until you come up with something. So yeah, I'm just going to keep it without an angle limits. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now we want to add some ground on this cliff. If you want to, you can also add some grass. I have a grass tutorial on my channel if you want to check that out. I'm not going into that, but to do that, you should be going into your perspective view. Should be fine. Take your live selection tool, go into your polygon mode and then just selecting all the top parts of your cliff, just like this. There we go. Oh, I've selected too many. Hold Ctrl to deselect these. Okay. Oh, I've made a stupid mistake. Ctrl Z and hold Shift to continue your selection. Okay. So once you've done that, go to Select and make selection. Set selection. And rename it to Ground Cliff. Hit Enter, and as you can see, it will add a triangle, and that triangle means a selection part. So now if you click on it and no, now if you add a material, let's add a material, ground cliff, color, load image. I'm going to load that image that I created in Photoshop if I can find it again. Okay, here we go. Nope. Copy this channel into the bump, filtering it, desaturating it, adding contrast. Okay, doesn't really do a lot. I'm going to add some low clipping in here. Okay, delete the specular and close this. Drop this onto your material, and as you can see, it's covering up everything, also the projection to cubic, and we don't want that to project on our complete cliff. So how are we going to do that? Is by dragging this triangle of our ground and dragging this into the selection of the cliff. So click on the cliff and over here selection and drag this into the cliff. So as you can see, my ground texture is a little bit small, so I'm going to increase it by 200. Also, I'm going to add seamless because my seamless work from Photoshop doesn't seem to work pretty well. As I said, I didn't take enough time to create that, I guess. I'm also going to go to the object mode of my cliff, and I'm going to enlarge it a little bit more and then drop it down a bit, just like this. Okay. And now if we pre-render this, let's see what we have. Also, I think I've randomized my y-axis from my crumble of my cliff a little bit too much because it's going up too much. But whatever, it's all up to you, messing around again, as I said. So yeah, now we want to add some nice mountains in the background. So just go over here and add some landscapes. Yeah, put them a little bit up over here. Enlarging them like this, maybe one long mountain over here in the background, just like that, looking fine. Copy pasting that, making another one over here, making it smaller and thinner, but maybe even higher to come up like that. And then I'm just going to use the same material, but you can use different materials if you want to keep original and unique. So that'll really do a lot if you change materials. But for the sake of this tutorial, is just to show you how to start creating projects like these, not on how to create something nice. Okay, so here we have our mountains in the background. Now what we can do is add some random stones on this cliff over here. So let's do that. Also, if you click on sky and go to sky, I'm going to lower the horizon because as you can see this stripe is really awful. So I'm going to horizon start to -20. Okay, there we go. Maybe we'll want to make a small landscape on our cliff itself, really small one. Okay, though. There we go, and there we go. Just to make some variation in our texture. Okay. Holding control from this. Oh, it already has this material. Looking good. Okay. So now let's add some of our stones over here. So add a Neve sphere pull it up over here and make it a lot smaller, just like a normal rock will be, something like that, and change the segments to, let's say, 6. Also press C on the keyboard to make it editable. Go to point mode, Command A, right click, set point value 666, enter. Let's see. Okay, and now just add this material to that stone. Delete the func tag, or no, not deleting it. Let's say 10. Render region over here. Okay, so that stone is looking pretty good. Now we are going back to the top view part, and we are going to the Bezier spline and just draw a spline. I will explain why we are doing that. We're going to make a spline over where the stones should be located. So just randomize your spline overall over your cliff, and then the stones will be everywhere. So you will understand later on what I mean by this. Okay, there we go. Click over here, go back to your perspective mode. As you can see, you don't have to close the spline. Pull the spline up. Oh, no. Object mode. Pull it up. Okay, complete spline. And just pull it up enough just above the floor, just like this. It's looking pretty fine. Going to MoGraph, add a cloner object, and then just the rock, drag and drop it into the cloner, and then just choose object, and in the object you want to drag the spline, and that will make the rock over follow the spline along. So we can increase the amount to, let's say, 30, and then we can go to MoGraph effector and randomize it. So random, and then we want to position it not over the Y because we don't have flying rocks. Maybe just 3. The X and Y 50. Okay, scale can be everywhere 1. You can have all kinds of rocks. 360, 360, 360. Okay. Let's see what this gives. Okay. I can see the fung is way too low, so I'm gonna increase it to 50. Let's see what that gives. Maybe still too low. Maybe just keep it at 80. It has some. Okay, so this is looking a little bit better. I'm going to add a little bit more bump to this one. Okay, so I'm going to show you what bump does actually. So as you can see now, the mountain looks really textured because of the bump, and if we deselect now, I'm going to let it render for a second over here. Okay, so as you can see, it's looking nice and realistic. No, not realistic, it's motion graphics. But if we deselect the bump, you can see it's looking a lot flatter. So I'm going to try and show you in a renderer over here. So I'm going to render this as a PNG. Okay. Bump, render this out. And no bump. Render this out. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of difference. Okay. So it's not doing too much over here, but as you can see, if you look really closely, I don't know if you will see this on record, the texture is really going inside of it, so it's like actually textured, and here it looks a little bit flatter. The contrast is a lot more at the bump, but because we use such a low value, it's not really going through with it, and also because we don't have enough black. So let's increase this low clipping and increase this right like this. Okay, so now we will have a lot more bump. Okay, so this is looking fine. I'm going to edit my light just a bit. I'm gonna change it to a soft shadow, and I'm not sure where it is anymore. Where is my light? Where is it? I have to find it again. Oh, I found it. There we go. Pulling it back, pulling it up, and let's see. See, you can get completely different kind of shots just because of changing the light. So I'm going to copy and paste this light, pulling one in the front. So like that, and decreasing its intensity to 30, maybe 50 or 40. Okay, so I kinda like this part over here. So what you can do now is adding grass on some parts of our cliff, adding some different kind of materials onto your cliff, so like it's kind of green plants coming through, adding some trees or dead trees or whatever, maybe something on the angles over here, another kind of rock right over here, but just a simple rock, adding a different sky, making your own preset, and the floor. So this is my tutorial on how to create a cliff. So yeah, thanks for watching and goodbye.